Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, not joined by Geeky Sparkles in this video, but we're going to talk about the Image Comics Union. Do you remember that? We talked about it before. Image Comics has a union now, and it's made up of their office staff. Just the office staff. There's like 9 of them, I think, in this union, and they fought to get this union off the ground, and it was not recognized voluntarily by Image, if I remember correctly, and there's been some controversy around it. Now, you have to understand how Image works. It works a little bit differently than like a Marvel Comics or a DC Comics. Image is basically a loose affiliation of independent studios, and they have office staff that handles the, maybe some of the production and, kind of trafficking of projects and maybe coordinating with the printers and that sort of thing, right? They're not creators, they're not creatives, but the big controversy, as I recall, when they wanted to form this union was they wanted the ability, just like Kickstarter, they wanted the ability to veto certain creators, which was a massive, massive overstep. It's not their responsibility as office staff to have any kind of input into the creative process. And in fact, Image was founded by guys like Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld and even Jim Lee back in the day, and Eric Larson, who was all about free speech at one point in time. All of these guys, because they felt very constrained by Marvel and DC and the comics code and all of that, and that's why they started Image. Actually, they started Image because they wanted a bigger cut of the pie, but that's neither here nor there. Fast forward 30 years later, and we've got the office staff wanting to unionize and wanting to have input and into the creative process. And I remember reading Wizard magazine back in the day and reading interviews with guys like Rob Liefeld, and he was like, I'll be damned if I have some 24-year-old wet behind the ears comic book editor telling me what to do when I've sold as many comics as I have. And I can imagine that union did not sit well with some of the OG Image creators. In fact, Jim Valentino and Mark Silvestri, I guess, I think, they said that some of the comics that came out from Shadowline, they did not include the names of the office staff, the unionized employees, in the credits. I think they were pissed. I think they were very pissed off about this. I thought it was pretty telling that that's what happened. The fact that they did not voluntarily recognize this union too. So we're going to talk about a complaint now that the union has, and the complaint is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And look, I want to be very clear. I am not anti-union. Okay. If you're talking about like you're working in the coal mines, you're working a factory job, you're working something that is, detrimental to your physical health. And I don't know the situation that these office workers are in. If they were being overworked, they might have been overworked. I mean, it's possible. I worked as an editor for years, a newspaper editor, and I was putting in 50, 60-hour weeks. A lot of that time was unpaid, but part of it was on me too, because I wanted everything to be just so, and that was just kind of the way it was. But, I think they unionized mostly because they wanted creative control. Now they're complaining apparently that they're not allowed to solicit during work hours. They're not allowed to pass out literature during work hours. That's the grievance. I don't think Bleeding Cool went into that. They said that they're filing against Image Comics over groundless discipline. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how Image is switching to Lunar. They're ditching Diamond. I didn't do a separate video on this, but I think all of this is going to congeal into a very bad situation for these unionized employees. Because I think what's going to happen is Image might be able to use a massive change like this or cite macroeconomic circumstances for a reason to get rid of them. I think they're putting a huge target on themselves. In fact, it's very appropriate that they have this. I understand their registration marks. I get that, but it looks like a target. And I think they're putting a huge target on themselves by filing frivolous complaints. And we knew it was going to happen, guys. We knew it was going to happen. Welcome to the comic book industry in 2023. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. You'll get a woohoo from me. It's not as good as Geeky's, but woohoo. There we go. I need to get like a little sound bite from her. And I could also get one from, I'm thinking Frozen, the guy that owns the sauna. Woohoo. Oh, there we go. That's my woohoo. So anyway, yeah, Bleeding Cool put this out a couple days ago. They said that members of the Comic Book Workers United, the CBWU, first ratified and probably last, first ratified comic book employee union in the USA, as previously covered by Bleeding Cool, have filed unfair labor practice charges against their employer Image Comics with the National Labor Relations Board. I'm sure Jim Valentino is very happy to hear that. In response to what they describe as capricious disciplinary actions and targeted changes to job descriptions alleging anti-union discrimination. Seems to mean that the CBWU accused Image Comics of treating its members unfairly and introducing work measures designed to make employees eligible for discipline from eligible for discipline from Image. Look, he's one guy running this thing by himself. I'll give him a pass on this, right? and from Image Comics, and such measures have increased without notifying union representation. They said that there are increasingly frequent and arbitrary disciplinary actions while failing to give appropriate notification to union reps. A series of unilateral changes and discriminatory reductions in job descriptions of union supporters. They said that the members have done their utmost to show through our actions that the intention behind organizing was to support each other and to continue bringing the highest level of professional care to the work of our creators. The results of these violations of federal labor law have left us no choice but to again file ULP charges. Workers had previously filed charges. This is going to destroy this company if they don't get rid of these. I'm sorry. In this case, like Image Comics does not need a union. I don't think so. I think everything could be done freelance. I don't even think they have a central office anymore, do they? Kickstarter, I guess Kickstarter is selling their Brooklyn. I think they're in Brooklyn. Their Brooklyn headquarters for like $25 million or something. Okay, so this is what it was. Coercive rules. Image created a work rule barring solicitation of other employees or dissemination of literature during work hours. They believe this has led to discriminatory effort to discourage and restrict the ability of union members to engage in protected organizing activity on work time. Image unilaterally implemented a new work procedure and initially rolled it out in a non-uniform fashion. The procedure was rolled out at different times among different employees, with different instructions being given to different workers within the bargaining unit. You know, most companies, that's usually how it works. Different employees get different instructions based on their job descriptions. The company refused requests to communicate with the bargaining committee over this change prior to the implementation. Maybe it's because the company doesn't want the union there. Maybe it's because Image doesn't really want this union. Maybe it's because this is not good for their business. They're not doing very well right now, as I understand it. Image Comics managers also misled certain employees to believe this new policy was mandatory for all union workers, but this is false. The disorganization of the staggered rollout, despite being a clear failure on the part of management, was used as a pretense for management to issue more groundless discipline. Disciplinary actions have increased exponentially with insufficient justification, lacking a full and fair investigation, without notification of the union. And this is why, look, again, I believe in unions to protect employees from unfair work practices, but I also believe unions are massively unfair to employers in some cases because you can't do shit. You know, I mean, it's hard to fire employees for being awful employees. You have to go through all the steps to get rid of them. In fact, it got so bad. I told people this story multiple times. I've never been in a union, but I did work for a publisher that all the printers decided they wanted to unionize. Now, we were a pretty sizable publisher. We published our own newspapers and magazines, but we also did a lot of commercial printing for other publications in the Northeast. Very sizable printer, right? And the owner got so fed up with the union and the demands of the union that he sold the company. He sold the company. He split the publishing off from the printing, sold the printing side of it, and then the new owner, I don't know exactly how that works, but they basically disbanded the union. They're like, yeah, we're firing everybody and we're starting over again. If you want to work here, we'll give you your job back, but you're not going to be part of a union. We're not going to recognize it. I mean, that's how bad it got. He was like, I'm basically being held hostage by my employees. And he's like, my employees were already some of the highest paid printers in this side of the country. And they were. I know what some of those guys were making. And it was ridiculously good money because it was in Pennsylvania and we were getting jobs from New York, California. They were getting jobs from all over the country. And they were publishing like major national magazines. And so these guys were paid very well. Now, the thing is, those presses ran 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, you didn't work that shift. They had multiple printers. But, these guys, I think, realized how much money was coming through that shop. And they're like, yeah, we want even more. And he's like, no, I'm just not going to deal with it anymore. And he had a very profitable business. And he's just like, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell it rather than deal with the union. Anyway, disciplinary actions have increased exponentially with insufficient justification. They're trying to make it difficult for them to work there, if I had to guess. Lacking a full and fair investigation without notification of the union, without the opportunity of having a union rep present. Union representatives have yet to receive a single formal notice of any disciplinary actions. ICV2 basically just says, hey, this is what's going on. You're not, They instituted a work rule prohibiting solicitation of employees or dissemination of literature during the work hours. That's permissible if you're in a union. You can communicate. You can have union meetings on company time. Have your union meetings after 5 o'clock. Have your union meetings on weekends. Why do you have to have a union meeting on company time? Why do you have to hand out union literature on company time? I think they're going to get rid of them. I'm going to tell you the truth. I think what's going to happen is Image is going to find a way to get rid of these employees, even if they have to buy them out, because it's very obvious that some of the people at Image were not on board with this. They did not voluntarily recognize the union, and it was so bad that Jim Valentino decided not to even put their names in the credits, on the books, as I understand it. So there's definitely going to be a strained relationship there. So now they might, and again, I don't know if these two things are going to be related or not, but Image is switching to Lunar. They're jumping ship from Diamond, and they're using Lunar to get comics in the shops after 25 plus years. And look, Steve Geppi did this to himself. Everybody's going to Lunar now. He did it to himself. He decided he was just going to nope out during the pandemic. He was going to curl up in the fetal position underneath the desk and be like, well, the comic book industry resumes when I say it resumes. We're going to pause the comic book industry for now, and then we're going to build back better than ever. We're going to come back. What was it, the piss yellow shirts he had or whatever? It's like this guy actually thought he was the comic book industry. He thought that these companies were going to go down with him, and some of them did. Some of them went down in flames with Diamond, and everybody else is looking for a solution to be like, yeah, we got to actually get our product out there, right? So this is coming from the Pop versus Graham McMillan. The new deal, which specifically covers distribution to the comic store direct market as opposed to digital bookstores and other outlets, means that for the first time in the publisher's existence, single issues will not be carried directly by Diamond Comics, which has been Image's exclusive distribution partner since April of 1995. Instead, Lunar, which has been DC's primary distribution partner to North America since 2021, will take over all duties relating to the ordering and shipping of single issues and collected editions to comic stores inside the U.S. as well as internationally. The changeover will happen effective with Image's September releases, which will open for retail orders in June 14th. So this is not a good sign. If things were fine at Diamond, I think they would have stayed there. If they were making money hand over fist at Diamond, I think they would have stayed there. And you know, it's just not looking good. I don't think Diamond's gonna be around much longer. Honestly, they were laying people off before the pandemic. They were shutting things down before the pandemic. But I think Image could potentially be like, yeah, we don't have the money to keep you guys on anymore. We don't have the money to keep you guys on. So see ya. We're gonna buy you out or whatever we have to do. I don't know. But this is going about as well as I thought it was gonna go, I'll tell you the truth. And I think a lot of it has to do with just unrealistic expectations from white collar workers. There's this big push for white collar workers to unionize. And, you know, it's again, I think it's fine if you're being used and abused. But, you know, as soon as you start asking for some creative input, you've already lost your case. And I think they'll just get rid of these guys and just use freelancers. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't, like I said, I don't even know if they're in the central office anymore. Kickstarter is all remote now. And that's the thing. Yeah, everybody wants remote work. Well, that's fine. You can work with somebody remotely in other countries. We've got artists working on books right now, and guess what? None of them are in the US. You know, so we don't have to. We're not limited by geography anymore. So be careful what you wish for, I guess. I'm gonna wrap this up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.